the whispering pines. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that stretched like skeletal fingers across the forest floor. Jake and Lisa had ventured deep into the heart of the ancient woods, seeking a secluded spot for their weekend camping trip. The forest had an eerie beauty, with tall, whispering pines and a dense underbrush that seemed to swallow the fading light. As they set up their campsite, the forest around them fell silent. No chirping crickets or rustling leaves, just a palpable stillness that sent shivers down their spines. "Feels like we're being watched," Lisa said, looking over her shoulder into the inky darkness. Jake laughed it off, attributing her unease to the natural creepiness of the woods at night. "You're just letting your imagination run wild," he teased. They built a fire, and the crackling flames danced with an intensity that seemed to repel the encroaching darkness. Jake pulled out a guitar and started strumming, trying to break the eerie silence. Lisa's voice joined in, and their harmonies filled the night air, momentarily lifting the tension. But as the last notes faded away, the forest came alive with an unsettling sound. It was a faint, almost imperceptible whisper, like the susurration of the wind through the pines. They stopped singing, exchanging bewildered glances. "Did you hear that?" Lisa asked, her voice barely more than a breath. Jake nodded, his eyes scanning the surrounding woods. "Probably just the wind," he said, though he didn't sound convinced. They continued to sing, but the whispering grew louder, more insistent, as if the very trees were conspiring to drown them in their secrets. Lisa's voice trembled, and her fingers missed the guitar strings. She was too unnerved to continue. "I think we should put out the fire and go to sleep," Jake suggested, his bravado waning. Reluctantly, they extinguished the fire and retreated into their tent. But sleep eluded them both. The whispering persisted, now a chorus of eerie voices that seemed to be closing in on them. "I can't take this," Lisa whispered, her eyes wide with fear. Jake nodded and unzipped the tent. They stepped outside, and the forest was alive with movement. Shadows danced among the trees, and the whispering grew louder, now almost a chant. Lisa clutched Jake's arm. "We need to leave. Now." As they packed up their campsite in a frenzied hurry, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being followed. Every rustle of leaves and snapping twig sent them into a panic. The forest had transformed from a tranquil wilderness into a sinister maze, closing in on them from all sides. Jake led the way with a flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness like a fragile lifeline. The trees seemed to leer at them, their branches reaching out like skeletal hands. The whispering had grown into a deafening cacophony, and now they could make out faint, chilling words amidst the voices. "Stay with us. Forever. Join us." Terror gripped their hearts as they stumbled through the forest, their path obscured by thick underbrush. They had lost all sense of direction, and the forest was an impenetrable labyrinth. Their breath came in ragged gasps, and their footsteps echoed like drums in their ears. Suddenly, they came upon a clearing, and in the center stood an ancient, gnarled oak tree. Its branches twisted and contorted, casting eerie shadows that danced on the ground. At the base of the tree, a shallow pit had been dug, and it was filled with a black, viscous liquid that seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. The whispering voices reached a crescendo, and the ground beneath them trembled. The very air seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly force. Lisa and Jake exchanged a horrified look, realizing that they were trapped, surrounded by an unseen, malevolent presence. The ground at their feet gave way, and they tumbled into the pit of black liquid. It clung to their skin like tar, pulling them deeper into its abyss. Desperate cries escaped their lips as they struggled to free themselves, but the more they fought, the stronger the grip of the pit became. As they sank deeper into the inky darkness, their surroundings transformed. They were no longer in the forest, but in a subterranean world of torment. Twisted and contorted, figures moved in the shadows, their voices merging into a nightmarish symphony of agony. In the distance, they saw a flicker of light, a distant glimmer of hope. With all their strength, they clawed their way towards it, their bodies writhing in the grip of the malevolent liquid. As they emerged from the pit, gasping for breath, they found themselves back in the clearing. The ancient oak tree stood before them, its branches now withered and lifeless. The whispering voices had faded, replaced by an eerie silence. The forest had returned to its tranquil state, as if nothing had happened. But Jake and Lisa knew better. They had glimpsed the darkness that lay hidden beneath the surface of the woods, a darkness that hungered for their souls. They stumbled away from the accursed tree, their hearts heavy with the knowledge of the horrors that lurked in the whispering pines. They never spoke of that night again, for fear that the forest might hear and call them back into its malevolent embrace. And so, the ancient woods kept their secrets, hidden beneath the towering pines and the eerie silence of the night, waiting for the next unsuspecting victims to wander into its depths.